The first important thing about the global code is that it's written in plain language by market practitioners for market practitioners, so nothing gets lost in translation. The second important point to my mind is that the conduct standards that it defines, the best practices that it defines, have been done so with the input of hundreds of market participants, and that makes the overall message incredibly powerful. In terms of who the code applies to, it applies to all wholesale market participants globally. So how does adherence benefit the industry? The most powerful point about adherence to the code is the strong message of assurance that it sends to other market participants. It says very clearly, I recognize the role I have to play in upholding conduct standards and best practice across the industry, and I have a very clear and common understanding of what those are. So how is the code already changing the industry? I think there are two obvious areas where it's already had a very positive impact. First of all is with respect to information sharing. So the MPG first met formally in New York in January of last year, and we were given a list of topics that the FXWG wanted input on. Noticeable in its absence from that list was the topic of information sharing, and we felt it was very strong to address the paralysis that had descended on the industry around dissemination of market color through the code. And so consequently, as we saw in phase one or at the end of phase one of the code, guidelines around information sharing were issued, and subsequently we've started to see market color disseminate and flow much more smoothly, and that's key for the efficient functioning of the market. And I think the second important positive that we're already seeing and feeling is a much more frequent exchange between market participants, are disclosures and transparency around operating models and terms and conditions, and that's very much a step in the right direction because transparency is at the heart of the code.